Hello, and in this video today I'm going to cover something slightly different again. It's the history of my layout, the area it represents, and the railway companies of the day that existed in the local area. So as you can see from the photo on the screen, this is the area where I lived as it looked in the 1930s. You can see there's quite an extensive railway system in place around the works. It's the coal and iron and the steel works. To the left is Barrow Hill, where the famous roundhouse is, and the village where I live is on the bottom right. So as you can see on this photo, I've now coloured in, illustrated the lines that belong to the different railway companies. The LMS is in the red, and as you can see there's a station at Barrow Hill and in Staveley, and the LNER station and line is at the bottom of Hollingwood. It was actually called Staveley Work Station, and Staveley Central is the LNER station at the top. Both lines seem to head over towards Sheffield, which is towards the top left of the picture. To the top right, the lines branch off and go towards the local pit, which was the Markham Colliery. Hence, on my layout, I do have a lot of the 7-plank coal wagons. It's probably worth pointing out that today, all of that is now gone. The only railway line there is the red LMS line, which veers off to the upper left, and at the lower left it's still there. It ventures off to the Barrow Hill Roundhouse. The works, the LNER, all the stations have now completely gone. So let's talk about the scale and why I chose TT120 over 00 and N. The main reason was space. I don't have any. The most I can have is a 6x4 layout. If I do that in 00, I can have a single track going round in a simple loop with a few simple sidings. And I could get more in, but I'm finding it very small, very fiddly, and I don't have the finger dexterity and the eyesight to really do much with N. In fact, sometimes with TT120 I think it's still borderline whether it's suitable or not. It wasn't an easy choice actually. I mean, I did think long and hard. Do I go for the more established 00, which has got more choice, or do I go for TT120, which I can get a lot more into the same area, but I've got less choice? It's a new scale. Will it take off? Will there be things made for it in a year's time? All these were questions that I had to ask myself, and in the end I thought, what the hell, let's go for it. We can do TT120. If it don't work out, I can always try and sell it and start again in 00. So as you can see, this is a layout plan that I did on the computer. I've got 3 loops. The 2 outer loops are powered together, so I get the HM7000 DCC on that one. The purple 3rd loop is independently powered. There's isolating fish plates between the points from the 3rd loop and the other 2 outer loops, and it's a simple job with a screwdriver, and I can have a DC analog or HM7000. I just swap the power supply over from analog to the DC one, what goes straight to the track. In the same area with 00, it would be quite a lot more simpler. I think it'd be a simple loop with some smaller sidings coming off of it. Certainly wouldn't have the 2-track station there, and the platforms wouldn't quite be as long. So this is my list, my wish list for my layout. Your mileage may vary. You might want the similar things, you might want different things. Let me know in the comments what you'd actually like to see out and what's on your wish list. But for now, this one's mine. Okay, so I'm trying to keep the wish list for things that would actually have been used in this local area. So the first thing I'd like to see is a Stanier Black 5. Obviously, I might have mentioned it on the forums a few times and done a few videos about it. Next, okay, not necessarily used in this area, but a streamlined coronation. It's my railway. I want to see one used. I want one, and I want it in red. Okay, and for a small shunter tank, we're going to have an LMS Ginty. Why not? So the Black 5 was used for mixed traffic, passenger and freight, where the Jubilee was more optimised for express passenger only. So the Fowler Patriot was also used around the Midland Main Line area, so again I'd like to have it just for the layout. The next loco I'd like to see is the Stanier 8F. Basically it's a Black 5 with 2 of the small wheels chopped off and 2 of the big wheels stuck on. Not quite that simple, but it's a dedicated freighter that I could use, and it was used extensively around this area. And the final loco I'd like to see for the LMS on my layout is the Fowler 264 tank engine. Could be used on the branch lines, and it'd look very well, I think, on my inner loop. So that's my final choice for the actual locos. So now on to coaching stock. So I would love to see a Stanier buffet restaurant or dining car made available in TT120 to complement what we've already got. And of course the Stanier composite coach. When a full first class isn't needed, you have one that's 50-50. Finally, the last thing I'd like to see is the 20-ton brake wagon in the LMS livery. So that's covered the LMS. So the other era I do is Era 7 and Era 8, which is the locos in the BR blue with the yellow ends and the coaches with the BR blue and grey. This was the sort of things you saw as present day when I was a kid, so it's something a bit nostalgic that I like to also model in. So a lot of diesels were used around here. A lot was used for quite a few, like passenger and freight. So the first thing I'd like to see is the BR Class 20, again used extensively for freight, especially around Barrow Hill. The Class 31 was used for both, again, freight and passenger services between Chesterfield, Sheffield. The Class 45 was used on the express trains from Sheffield to St Pancras. And last of all, the Class 47, again, the workhorse of freight and passenger services on the Midland Main Line. Finally, for coaching stock, I would like to see the BR Mark 1s in the blue and grey. And I'd also like to see more than just the composite and brake coach that we currently have with the Mark 1s in TT120. I'd like to see the first corridor and a standard corridor, as well as some restaurant or dining or some kind of buffet cars. So that about wraps things up on this video. Remember, the things I like and want are not necessarily going to be the ones that you want. It's just what I'd like to see for my layout personally. What do you want to see next in TT120? Let me know in the comments, join us on the forums, and I'll see you soon. Bye.